What is up, everyone, and welcome back. What is up? How are you doing today? How are you doing today, MJ?
Good.
Are you excited for Reactcast?
Thanks for asking.
Are you excited for Reactcast Season 3, Episode 3?
Absolutely.
Alright, so we might as well get into the reaction, right? Get stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get into the reaction.
Granted, people will get that joke. But hold on. What's this? At the time I'm writing this script, this channel has 140,000 subscribers.
That's
The past
crazy.
few months have been
That's
absolutely fantastic for views and subs, so thanks for checking out my content. But what I'm going to do today is bring you a revised theory. If you are new or you don't know what I mean, a revised theory is where I take one of my older videos and improve it by making it more plausible, better edited, and better explained. I do it rarely, but it's fun to look back at them. So let's get into this one.
Finally,
the video I will be revising today is an extremely short video I made on monsters.
Repeating himself.
This video was underviewed, had a robotic voice in the background, and was only a minute long. And because it was so poorly explained, I must bring back this idea today to show you all. Monstropolis needs monsters to gather the screams of children in order to fuel their city. Ugh, sounds creepy when I say
That's
it like
crazy.
that. But if you're wondering how they could possibly do this, well, I believe I know. The monsters could be harnessing the children's sound energy, which explains why the louder they scream, the more energy the monsters receive.
Sure.
And when they say laughter is more powerful, that makes sense, as a long, loud laugh will give off more energy when doing the actual math. But basically, the monsters are clearly converting whatever essence human laughter has through loudness into energy. And in the movie, there is a severe energy crisis. So,
Ooh, interesting so far.
let's get into it.
Yeah.
Mr. Waternoose controls all of the doors and the whole facility, so he should know all of what is going on. He tells Sullivan and a few others that kids just aren't as scared as they used to be, but he has been shown to be an excessive liar, doing anything to benefit the company. He says he'll kidnap 1,000 children and silence
Bro, is this the guy going right
just to
those
save his
white
company.
vans?
And I'm thinking
he probably is.
that maybe in the past he has done all of this before. That's terrifying. But it's not the point of this theory, so let's shift our focus back to my actual idea. You could argue that he was telling the truth, and that with the progression of violent movies and video games, kids seriously aren't that scared anymore. This door-scaring method clearly used to work, but at some point it became inefficient, and it only took a few years. So why did it stop working? Kids don't just suddenly change for little to no reason. If a kid watched Saw and Kill Bill,
How could
then had a
anybody be
huge,
scared of
fluffy,
this?
spiky purple-blue polka-dotted horned bear come out of their closet, they jump out their window. Films and games wouldn't
Trey, if
daze
you
kids
want,
in
if
that
you like
way.
watch the scary
No,
movie, and
the
I mean,
shortage
and someone
really
came
occurs
busted
when
in
Sully
you,
and
like,
Mike get to the factory, and Randall. If you're one of the
Oh, yeah,
8,000
little
people
jump scared.
who watched my initial theory, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Strap in, I'm about to go nutty conspiracy theorist on y'all. Wanting to become more popular than Sullivan, Randall redirects a ton of hard-earned sound energy to his power-sucking
Weird.
machine and causes the energy crisis to become much more severe than before. He gets Waternoose on board to fund his project by manipulating him with the blind thought that his company was failing, putting him into a state of panic after 3 generations of perfection. This would force Waternoose, Monstropolis, and the employees of Monsters Incorporated to turn to his revolutionary machine, which would skyrocket him into popularity for saving the city's electricity. And that was what I was trying to
What the-
get across before.
Oh
But
my
now
God.
let's actually look at how each aspect of it fully applies. Randall has been shown to be extremely envious of Sullivan, and he constantly tries beating him.
Whoa!
During the Scream Extractor
What
scene,
the?
Mike asked him if he was
Hey,
being
there's
evil
Mike,
so he
bro.
could do things
What
to
the
get
hell?
popular. Randall completely denied it. But we know that's a lie. How? Well, Waternoose tells Randall that he is half as scary as Sullivan, and Randall glares at him with anger. If that is
You like this so far?
proof
Yeah,
that
it's
this
good. What
whole
about you?
thing was just out of jealousy,
Yeah, I like it.
when he literally is killing Sullivan, and he says,
Keeps you interested in it.
"Be number one." quite the odd prediction, unless he knew that his machine was going to make him popular.
True.
Now the energy redirection part. In the tunnels of this facility, all of the wires, electricity, and power redirection occur.
What the?
All of the Scream canisters are held and exported in these tunnels. Everything to do with power. All of the cords. And this machine uses a ton of power. It's plug massive, and it uses dozens of huge cords to function.
Holy.
This is a
Imagine
crazy.
imagine
so
one
much
cable just
hard-earned
being
power.
cut.
There are so many scare floors, and this machine is using up
It'd be
all
gone.
of that energy, time, and money. Randall is taking it all, and this machine is a part of it. This plan only increases the intensity of the crisis. Also, if something happens during export, the rest of the process will be messed up. That's how everything works. So since this facility is the
Wow, that's
export,
crazy.
and the whole city is messed up, it can be assumed
Uh.
that something in this factory is wrong. This many scare floors, it's been working for years.
Bro.
Things don't just suddenly change. It's when Randall got there. Now this part. Waternoose had no idea where all of the power was going. He knew that there was an increase in dead doors, but was still confused. When Randall approaches him with the Scream Extractor idea, Waternoose is desperate. Randall has legitimately caused the biggest and most secretive loss of energy in the history of Monstropolis, and then he manipulates his boss into funding his machine.
What?
Waternoose is clearly
What?
desperate. He knows just how shameful it would
So
be
both
to
of
let
them
down
are the
a huge
villains.
company after it was in
Yeah.
his family for 3 generations.
Oh.
He can't take it, and is easily blindly manipulated by Randall in an act of sheer desperation. And
That's
finally,
crazy.
the whole point of this, Randall's jealousy. He redirects the energy to his wasteful machine, manipulates the CEO, and then hopes that everybody will find his machine as a savior to the power crisis he heavily added to. Now that is villainous.
It is villainous.
Notice how confident he is
That
his
is.
whole plan will work. He says in the change room that he knows he will win. He says it so eerily. The winds of change. And he wasn't referring to the Scream Extractor, oh no. Clearly, that was the attitude of a winner. A jealous, sore loser, finally, maniacally happy to win. Then one scene later, on the scare floor, Sullivan says, "May the best monster win," and Randall says, "I plan to."
What?
I plan to. I plan
What
to. I
in the
told you so.
world?
This whole thing was for his popularity. But I'm not.
What? Bro, pause,
Disney
pause. I got an
Pixar's
ad. I got an
Elemental
ad.
is now streaming on Disney+.
Hell?
Yes, the sluggish CEO of the CDA. I want to finally figure out what exactly the CDA does. Well, I hear you informally verbalizing. They child detect. Yes,
Whoa!
but not in the way the movie may have you believe at first glance. I actually think that they might have created the rumor that kids were dangerous, as it could allow them to catch the kidnappers. The CDA is out there to protect kids, not prevent them. Now
Oh.
that's something. What did they do on the night Boo got out? They put spotlights on several monsters, which is a bit weird. Unless you consider that they were looking for the kidnappers, thinking that the kid was with them. Yes, these are clever observations. And before I go, I want to readdress that very first point. The point I made about Waternoose and Randall kidnapping
It should be
others
good.
before Boo. If Roz was undercover, it means that there was a previous outbreak of child kidnappings that the CDA was made aware of. Wait, but that means Randall and Waternoose have been doing this forever. Just how long has Roz been working there?
What?
2.5 years, according to her. But all of this leaves one final question. Where did those children go? Well, they can't be released into the city, and a machine like this kills, so that means they've killed the kids.
Oh
and what does
my
Waternoose say?
God!
I'll kill
God.
1,000 children.
Why would
Bro.
that happen?
He began
That,
to
they're so
feel
evil.
that. I sure did.
For real?
Childhoods everywhere, shattering at that thought. A murderous, deranged, and misunderstood crustacean, and a manipulative, jealous, insane reptilian. They actually killed. That's the most chilling discovery I've made all year, and now I will abruptly leave you with those messed up thoughts.
Let's go.
Despite the fact that I've made a whole 4 theories on Monsters, Inc., here's another one. It's one of my favorite films by Pixar, and I must say, this video I made is one of the best theories on my channel.
Oh my God.
I absolutely love the way
Alright,
it
we'll
turned
see.
out. And there was a little something I very briefly mentioned at the end of this video that I think warrants a whole separate video of its own. I've done this before with The Incredibles mentioning something at the end and then making a whole theory on it. Same with Up and a few others. So
What
don't
the
think
hell?
of this as a part 2
Wow.
because it is not. Although not many people seem to mind that I'm making sequels to other recent videos, I just want to point out that really these aren't sequels. I just have to say part 2 in the title because of the way I formatted my channel. So without any more unnecessary ado, here's some stuff I've gathered on our voluptuous little garden
Alright.
snail.
Let's see what happens here.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and Monsters, Inc. is a monster movie.
Oh my god.
Halloween draws near, there's no question about whether or not to do this. But like I sometimes do at the end of theories, in the last couple minutes of my revised Randolph theory I posted a year ago, I briefly mentioned something that changed my entire perspective on the film, which is why I mentioned it. Watch that
Alrighty.
video immediately if you haven't, it is a great one. But what I briefly said was that Roz was the one who spread the rumor that kids are toxic, so that it would let her single out the people who had been kidnapping kids for the past 2.5 years. Since my video, intellectual
Wow.
debate has sparked in my comments, and videos from some other channels also cropped up with similar ideas regarding the CDA, but now it's time to expand on this because it is very, very likely to be correct that she spread this rumor. First, the evidence I presented in that old video. The CDA intentionally labels themselves as the Child
Yeah, we heard that,
Detection
right?
Agency rather than the
Yeah, we
Child
did.
Prevention Agency or the Child Elimination Agency. All they are there to do is detect children and collect them. But not likely for the safety of the other monsters because, as we know, humans are utterly harmless to monsters. It's for the safety of the kids. So if the higher-up directors of the CDA were to create this rumor, it would allow them to pinpoint exactly who had been kidnapping children, because those
Maybe that's
monsters
actually a really
wouldn't
good
worry
idea,
about
isn't it?
touching the kids. As Roz says,
Yeah.
she's been doing this undercover work for 2.5 years
2.5.
now. We do in fact know
This
that
is
the rumor has
interesting.
been around
I like
for
these.
a very long time, though. We see it in effect during Monsters University, as it was likely precautionary back then to keep monsters away from injuring kids, but now it's mandatory to capture the ones building the Scream Extractor. The other rather significant piece of evidence I presented was the sheer fact that, on the night Boo escaped, the
Yes,
CDA
do
shot
the next
huge
one.
spotlights
What?
down at monsters only. This would
Okay,
make
do the next one.
total sense.
Probably,
They
like,
obviously believe that the child will be found with the monsters who have been kidnapping them.
I don't know, yeah.
So they start beaming down all of the monsters. Something I didn't mention in that other theory, though, is that I'm pretty sure the multiple monsters they put lights on were actually the same ones from Sully's scare floor, which makes sense. They're looking for the culprits. Something else I did not mention is the blatant hatred Roz shows towards Mike. It's because he and Sully are also suspects, because they too are on the kidnapping scare floor. It's why she is so adamant about their paperwork as proof of what they are or are not doing. And Mike condescendingly
True.
tells her it would be
That's
better
crazy.
if it all just blew away, which makes her livid, as it's making him an even bigger suspect despite her suspicions of Randall and Waternoose. Even at the end of the movie, she says 2.5 years of undercover work were almost wasted. This is obviously because Sully and Mike intercepted the child and could therefore be caught as the criminals,
True.
as Randall and Waternoose
Yo, I got you some back, I'll be right back, alright?
Alright.
Everything she did useless in the end. So already I've just provided some new solid evidence. Some evidence that really, honestly stares us directly in the face throughout the entire movie, but only really makes sense after my theory has been proposed.
Boom,
Detective
boom.
work is so much fun. My god, it's the most awesome thing to do. But there is way more, because I don't think the whole CDA knew that it was literally them that spread the rumor of toxic children. If you look at them, even at the very end of the movie when all is revealed, they still jump and shudder when Boo walks by them. And after returning to the comments section of the, I guess you could call it sort of part 1 to this video, I saw someone with ideas that paralleled mine, and they got super intelligent with the concept, bringing to light how many of the workers simply vacuum up the toys like it's nothing. It's true. And in my response to them, I finally provided an explanation. If the majority of the workers are taught that their work is very dangerous and that they have to find the kids or everyone will die, they will be 100 times more effective at doing their true job that they don't even know about. In the wise words of Psycho Sheep Bellwether, fear always works. This is also Mr. Waternoose's philosophy with his very own workers. Funny enough, the end of Zootopia, with the replay of Mayor Bellwether's incriminating words, is damn near identical to this movie's end climax with Waternoose's incrimination. Just a neat thing I caught on to. But Roz and her direct team of probably around 10 other high-ranking employees, they know the truth. Kids are not toxic. Something interesting I noted this time I ran through the movie
Can you hear
was
me?
that
Yeah, I
out
can.
of
What's
the
up?
thousands of CDA employees, number 2 was the one that went up to Sullivan and asked for his autograph right during the Boo fiasco when she was
Is that
roaming
for
the
real?
halls. I have a 90% guarantee that he was either going to use Sullivan's signature for something, or he was trying to manipulate information out of him as he was in a state of panic upon losing Boo. If he is in fact number 2, that would make him Roz's right-hand man, and he'd be in on it, knowing of Sullivan being suspected as a child murderer. Recently, there have been some people who've looked at the CDA's code, 2319. If you break down 23
Wow.
and 19 into number letters, each one represents a W and an S. Some say it stands for white sock, but that makes very little sense. It's very, very, very coincidental. But
Water
others
scuttle.
claim that it stands for the last names of Mike and Sully,
Oh.
Wazowski and Sullivan. But other than it being a possible Easter egg, nobody really knew why their names would be attributed with the CDA alert code. Unless, oh yes, you consider my theory that they were always heavily suspected by Roz. The
Oh
sheer
my
fact
God.
that Roz
This is
says
crazy,
she's
isn't it?
always watching Mike and Sully is blatant proof that she suspects them, and by extension, that my whole theory of her and her supposed team of 10 and her alleged rumor spreading is correct. And come to think of it, at the end of Monsters University, we get a Roz cameo, and she says that, after Mike and Sully traveled back from the human world, she'd always be watching them. Which is why I guarantee the CDA's code is referencing them. So if Roz was suspicious of kidnappers even back then, it appears as though, oh my god. Oh my god! Another childhood-ruining moment is now approaching. If you wish to keep your
Oh my
young,
God.
precious memories intact, turn back now. Roz apparently is saying here that the kids were being kidnapped way back when, even before Randall got to Monsters Incorporated. And
Weird.
this was a crooked point of my old theory that didn't quite fit, but now I know why. If kids had been disappearing even back then, it makes total sense why the rumors were created. Screw what I said before, it wasn't just precautionary. It was mandatory, even back in the university days. It means that Mr. Waternoose was kidnapping for years.
Years?
Not just when Randall got there. All Randall did was make it more efficient by
Oh
creating
my
a screen
God.
extractor. And do not
That's shocking.
forget what Mr. Waternoose said. He said he'd kidnap 1,000 children before he let his company die. In my last vid, I said that he and Randall were guaranteed to have kidnapped hundreds of children for experimentation and killed them. That's why Roz was investigating in the first place. But if it was done before Randall, it means Mr. Waternoose has been testing new ways to crack children for decades.
Oh,
and his
that-
father and his grandfather, who founded Monsters Incorporated, were likely also doing this. The horrific generations of malevolent crustaceans. Tell me right now, what would prompt some random dude to create a door portal and then go into a human's room
Yeah, why
and
would
then
he do
learn
that?
that scaring them
No, you
gives
put
off
ghost
energy?
in your new
How would
setup?
they even know
Yeah.
what a human is? How would they learn
How?
about the entire
I don't
world
know.
map the humans have? How would they connect portals to human bedroom doors? Unless they'd actually gone in there and founded their company on the death and torture of
Oh my
children.
god.
When we look at the files of the children they scare,
Wow.
we even see their pictures and absolutely
What?
all
Do you see
information
that?
about them. Unless the monsters go in there with a
Yeah,
camera,
it's
how
crazy.
on earth are
Read
these
that,
pictures
read that.
snapped? How do they know so much over the course of only 3 generations of work?
Read that
How do
word.
screams affect energy? None of it makes sense. How
I
would
can't.
they
Can you
test
believe
these
I just said
things?
help?
It all lies in the Water News family
Yeah,
and its
wait,
sinisterness.
what?
If this horrific family
My
has been
God,
kidnapped
that's
for
kinda
years under
weird.
the cover of a simple door entering and scaring, then it makes sense why the CDA was formed in the first place. How much do you want to bet that Ross was one of the very first scarer workers at Monsters Incorporated? The smart old bag would have picked up on the malice immediately,
Oh
and after
my.
quitting would have formed a company that claims to assist the incorporation, when, like Monsters Inc. themselves, the CDA had a secret agenda. But their agenda, Roz's agenda, was to expose them, to bust them wide open for child murder, child torture, and a wickedly heinous conspiracy, all under the cover of a rude old lady who spent years worth of espionage in the most information-filled job possible in the facility in order to figure out what exactly was going on in the walls of the building. Oh, hell, this flips my other video completely upside down. It wasn't Randall who manipulated Waternoose, it was Waternoose who manipulated
ruining your
Randall
childhood.
by making Randall think that it was the other way around. To give Randall the feeling of power, to let him win for once in his life, to expose the deep feelings he'd always had to beat Sully. Go to bed with nightmares.
Why does it
the
laugh
shattered
like
childhood
that?
I'm just doing this to greatly improve the lore, not break the movie. I love this job. Until next time.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, I appreciate your help.
Yeah, no problem, man.
But
Thanks for having me.
That was crazy though. Like, what the hell, kidnapping children? Like, what?
For real.
What is
Why?
going on in
Question
Monsters?
mark?
But will you be here for next episode?
I'm going to have to think about that.
Alright, so it's basically like you'll have to wait and say that. So they'll have to wait and say that.
Yeah. To be
Alright.
continued.
To be continued. Next time, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh my god.
Well,
It's gonna get crazy. Alright, thank you so much
Crazy,
for watching.
yeah.
It's been Reactcast
Alright.
Season 3, Episode 3. And we're out. Peace.
see you.